Hi, welcome to Motorcycle Ways. Today I'm going to be talking about carrying out daily checks on your motorcycle, or pre-ride checks if you're not getting out daily. It's important that you're carrying out these checks from a safety point of view, as well as keeping your bike in tip-top condition. So let's get started. So here's my Honda CB 500X. And the first check I like to carry out before I get on the bike is the tyres. So we'll start with the front tyre here, the front wheel, and see what condition it's in. So one of the checks for your wheels is to check your tyre pressure to see that it's right. So we'll just check that now. So here I have my tyre pressure gauge. I'll just check to see what pressure is in it. So for the Honda CB 500X on the front wheel, it's a recommended pressure of 200 kPa or 29 psi. So you can see that's reading there 29 psi, which is spot on. Now, another thing to check on your tyres is your tread depth. And there should be a minimum of 1 millimeter. This is the law here in this country anyways. A minimum of 1 millimeter on your motorcycle tyres of tread depth. And you can see that's above 1 millimeters anyways. So there are markers here on the tyres. You will find them in the grooves here. So along in here, you can see where there's a little height there. And there's another one there. Might be hard to see them now there on the camera, but they are there. A little raised area of 1 millimeter. So that'll tell you when your tread depth goes down, when it wears down flush with flush to that, that'll tell you that your tyres need replacing, that you're gone to the legal limits and you should be replacing them at that stage anyways, because there won't be a lot of grip left on them, especially in wet conditions. So your tread depth is important, and just an overall general look at the face of the tyre, that there's nothing stuck in it, and it looks good. And the other check you want to carry out is the sidewalls of your tyre. Just have a general look around the sidewalls and see that there are no bulges or anything sticking out, that they're in good condition. And that tyre looks pretty good there. I cannot see anything out of place really. So check both sides and ensure that they look okay. Roundabout. That looks pretty good to me. So that's your front tyre. Now we'll have a look at the rear. Now we'll just start by checking the tyre pressures here. Again at the rear. Let's see how this one is. So there we can see that's 41 psi. That's 280 kPa. So that's good. Maintaining pressure, to check them regularly anyways, to be on the safe side. That's holding well, so that's okay. Okay, so next up is the tread depth. So we can see, looking at this tyre, that there's pretty good tread left on it. So it's well above 1 millimeters anyways. It's not that old, this tyre. So yeah, that's good. And then if you look over here at the sidewalls again, you can see that the sidewall looks pretty good. You're just looking for bulges there, any bulge or anything that might be out of place in the sidewall of the tyre. But that looks in good condition. You can just run your hand along it there. You'll feel anything on it anyways. There's no need really to go to extensive checks every day. The tyre pressure on that could be done once a week, they recommend really. Just to keep a check on it, see that it's okay. And generally before you go out on the bike, then just a quick look at the tyres, see that everything is in order, especially the pressure on that. And that should be good enough. So now another check you need to be carrying out before you head out on the bike is your levels, your liquids. So basically you have three you're going to be looking at. That's the engine oil level, the coolant level, and brake fluid. So let's take a look at each one of those and how you check them. So with the Honda CB 500X, you check the engine oil through a glass window, as is the case with a lot of motorcycles. But if we look down here near the bottom on the right hand side of the bike, you can see that glass window there. And you can see the marks. Look closely there, that's the lower mark and the upper mark, the two oil levels. It should be in between. Closer to the top mark, of course, is better. So you can look inside there, you can see the oil level is just up to there. It's just under the upper level, which is fine. And that should be checked, of course, when the bike is cold and when the bike is level. You don't want to have it on the side stand. Now, if you haven't got it on the center stand, you have it on the side stand, you can just pull it up, that it's somewhat level, and get it fairly straight, and you can get an idea just by looking in there. It'll tell you whether your oil level is good or not. There's no dipstick in these. You have an oil filler cap here, but no dipstick. So that's how you check your oil level on this bike. And another level to check here beside it, while you're over here, is the brake fluid for the rear brakes. There's the reservoir, and again you can see your two levels, lower and upper, and it's just up near the upper level. So that's an important check to make sure your brake level is right. An indication that your brake pads could be wearing out is if your fluid was going down low. It could be an indication that you need new brake pads or that. If you had to top up your rear brake fluid reservoir, the cap is here. The screws, two screws on them there and one inside. So you have to take off them screws and take off the cap and top it up that way with fluid. That four brake fluid that's used for your motorcycle. And your front brake fluid reservoir is up here. So there you can see it. Again, it's a glass window. So you just look in through there and you see that there's fluid in it. That should be full to the top with fluid. You can see again there is a lower mark here, lower level. If it's gone down past that, it's too low. So the glass should be full here at all times. So that level is good. So if you had to top up your brake fluid reservoir in the front here, you would take off the cap here on top. There's two star-shaped screws, and remove the cap, and you top it up with fluid that way. But make sure you clean around it first and that there's no dirt or dust that'll go in. You want to keep it as clean as possible, and always top it up with new fluid, an unopened jar. Make sure it's fresh fluid. And now we'll check our coolant level. So around here on the left hand side of the bike, we'll check for the coolant level. That's down low underneath. It's down underneath the bike really, so you have to get down here and look up here from this side. You might be able to see it. You can see the reservoir up in there. I shine the light. And again, it has a lower and an upper level. And you can see the fluid there in the jar. So I just hold that and I shake the bike slightly. You'll see the fluid moving there, so you'll get an idea. It's in between the two levels there, the upper and the lower, which is fine. And that's coolant in there, of course. Important to top it up with coolant, that you're not topping it up with water, because the coolant serves a purpose. It keeps the engine cool to a certain temperature, and as well as that, it has an antifreeze in it, so if you're in a cold climate at winter, you need to keep the engine protected. So that's where your coolant level is checked. And if you have to top it up, you come over here and you can see the feather cap just in here. If you had to top up the coolant, you top it up there. And that's all your levels. An important daily check that when you're going out on the bike. Check all the levels to make sure they're right. The only other level you need to keep an eye on, of course, is the fuel. So it's easy enough to keep the fuel gauge monitored. We have that on our display screen here. We turn it on there. We can see our fuel gauge there. We have 3/4 of a tank, so that's okay. And just over on this side, you have your temperature gauge there if there was an issue with the coolant or if the bike was overheating. Important gauge to keep an eye on too. So that's all the levels. Something else that's important to check before you head out on your bike is your lights, of course. Make sure they are in working order. So there we can see our dip headlight is on, and headlight works fine. And we have our auxiliary lights on the front that are working. And indicators, of course, I have to check them, see that they're in working order. And I think that's everything on the front. So we'll just check the rear now. So I'm just checking the back. You can see our tail light is working and our number plate light is working. So the brake light, you can check that for me. Yeah, that's the front brake now, so and that's the rear. So you have to make sure to check both, that they're operating the brake light. And again, indicators, left and right. Everything seems to be in working order there. So in addition to all them checks, I suppose the only other thing is to ensure that your bike is clean, that your number plate can be seen and that your lights are clean, and that they're visible to other road users as well. And another important thing is your mirrors, to make sure they're clean and that you have good visibility in them. It can be difficult to see sometimes in motorcycle mirrors, so it's important to keep them as clean as possible and give you a better view of what's behind you. And that your lights, your headlight and that is clean, that you can see properly with it. And your windshield, of course, is important to have it clean. It's not full of flies and bugs, blocking your visibility. Some other checks that you can carry out, maybe not on a daily basis, but to keep an eye on and keep checked from time to time, of course, is your brakes. to ensure that your brake pads are in good condition and that your calipers are working fine. To check your brake pads is, you can do it down here, low down, and just inside there where the pads are. You can see there's plenty of meat left on them pads yet. So just to keep an eye on your pads, how close they're coming down to the steel. You don't want them to go down to the steel and the steel to be rubbing on your brake disc, because you could destroy your brake disc, and having to replace that as well be an extra expense, more trouble. So I've done a video there on the front and rear brakes of the CB500X. It's on the channel, 2 videos. And your rear brakes then, you can check the rear one here. You can see the pads just by looking in there, how much is left on them. So just keep an eye on them from time to time and have an idea where you are with your brakes before they get too low, so you'll know when they need replacing. And another thing to keep an eye on is your chain and sprockets, of course. So your chain will need to be tensioned every so often, and the specs are written here on the side. 35 millimeters of slack is what should be in it. As well as that, keep it clean and lubricated. Very important too. Otherwise, if it's not lubricated, if it goes dry, and it will wear down a lot faster and wear your sprockets down a lot faster, so you'll be at the expense of replacing it then. So it's good to keep it in good condition, and your bike will run smoother and change through the gears much better too when it's looked after. So that's something to watch out for. I have a video on the channel about how to maintain the chain and keep it clean, and how to tension it and that. So there we are. So there we have it. Some important checks to keep carried out on your motorcycle on a regular basis, and keep you safe when you're out and about, and keep your motorcycle in good condition. So if you have any questions on that, leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. And thanks very much for watching.